like to call you all to order for the May RSU 25 school board meeting. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jim, would you please be kind enough to take the roll call?
I've done the roll call. You have a full contingent. All board members are present.
Great. This is our time for public participation. If you would like to participate publicly and are not here, you may email for public comment at publiccomment@rsu25.org, or you can phone in for public comment at 307-8099. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make any public comments at this time? All right. Do you have anything that has come through?
Nothing
Come
is,
before.
nothing has come through.
All right. And we will continue on our agenda, and if we hear something through the email, we'll move back. We have now adjustments to the agenda.
I have 3 adjustments for you. They're all printed on your adjusted agenda. We're going to add Kyle McGeechan to L1A as a resignation effective end of the school year. Add Christine Ellis to L1B for appointment. Add Madison Robichaud to L1B as volunteer.
All right. Next, we have approval of the minutes. We have 2 meetings minutes to approve. I would look for motion.
I move that we approve the minutes of April 26, 2022 and April 28, 2022 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving minutes? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have communications and correspondence.
In your folder, you should have communications. I think it was very little this time. So, there you go.
All right.
All ready?
We have the superintendent's report.
Yeah, you have my report. Most of it's focused on the budget process. I did put in there for you conversation around our COVID cases. We are monitoring those. As of today, we've had 11 to date this week. We've seen a slight uptick. We've gone 13 2 weeks ago, 11 last week, and so far we're 11 to date this week. I think once we stop having proms and get back from vacation, that's going to help. But that's where we stand with that. We are monitoring it. As I said in my report, unless otherwise directed, we're going to still focus on it as a masking optional position for the district. Stay steady with that. Continue to communicate that to folks. Other than that, I can answer any questions you may have from my report.
Do you have any questions for Jen? All right. Board chair's report. Just want to acknowledge the fact that the weather is improving steadily, and we've had a lot of student participation this year. So good job to all of those who are involved in those athletic programs. Next, we have committee reports. Andy, do you have one for the curriculum?
I do not. We meet on Thursday, I believe still, right? Okay.
Finance committee met before this meeting. We discussed the audit. There were a few findings that there normally are. No question costs. So it was good. We also discussed the current budget to actual, where well over where we normally are. So we're in good shape financially. Any questions on finance? All right, we got policy.
Policy committee did not meet.
Facilities and grounds.
We meet date. Oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, that's fine.
No,
We met last week with the town of Buckswood's baseball field ball committee and had some discussions around that, and they decided they'd push it down the road for a little while to see how it progresses.
Okay. Any questions for facilities and grounds? And then HCTC.
we meet day after tomorrow.
Well, there.
So moving this up.
We should always have an early meeting.
Sure.
It'll catch up.
This
to you.
right along. All right. Now we have new business. We've got personnel, some resignations and retirements.
Yes, I have two teacher resignations, Michael Deisher, BHS World Language Teacher, and Kyle McGeechan at BMS Math. Also, KN Rose, Food Service at the Senior Center.
Look for a nomination.
I move that we accept the resignations with regret.
Second,
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have nominations.
I have a nomination for you under administration. I'm very pleased to nominate Christina Ellis as the Director of Curriculum for RSU 25, effective July 1.
Is it that the young one?
Well, I was going to do her separately.
Oh, we want to do it separately.
Yes.
All right. Well, I have a question for you. On page 1, we call it Christine.
You
I
didn't
know,
have
it's
to close the
Christine.
alias.
Just when I get a chance to read Jim. All right.
Ms. Ellis.
I was really in favor of Christina, but if we're going to go with Christine, we will.
All right.
I'll compromise.
I don't know who Christine is.
So Christina?
It is Christine.
Do we have another Christine Ellis out there somewhere that would like to be the principal?
No.
That's a quick
Includes everybody.
Name change.
So now that we know how to properly frame the motion,
Well, I'm still confused. No. So I move that we accept Christina Ellis as the new Director of Curriculum.
second,
all right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Christine.
much. Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Next, we've got teachers.
I have one teacher, it's a transfer, and it's Sydney Eckert, pronounced correctly. Sydney's currently a special education teacher, has been with us for, I believe, 3 years. And she's requested a transfer to the grade 8 social studies, science, primarily social studies teacher. She comes to us with a degree in science from the University of Maine Farmington. I present that to you as a nomination.
All right. I will look for a motion.
Well, I move that we nominate Sydney Eckert as grade 8 science / social studies teacher.
second,
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the nomination? And that is unanimous. Next, we've got coaches and co-curricular.
Yes, I have one volunteer request from Madison Robichaud for, that is BMS softball, not BHS, forgive me. Okay. And we have an entire slate of fall and winter coaches that have been written out for you in detail. And so I won't go through and read them all. We'll answer any questions you may have.
see a lot of familiar names there.
There are a lot of familiar names. We do have a couple of new folks that are going to volunteer, which I'm very interested in, which is good.
Good.
Is it too soon to make a nomination or does people need more time?
Looks like we got some people still looking at it.
What's this?
Well,
Yeah, oh, I'm ready.
we all-
Sorry, I didn't
All
know.
right. All
I
right.
apologize. Carry on.
I move that we accept the nominations of the fall and winter sports as presented as a block.
Second,
Can I amend your motion to also include our softball volunteer?
Well, I thought the volunteer had also included her, but yes.
Okay. Right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we got board consideration of BMS STARS program to travel to and stay overnight at the 4-H Blueberry Cove facility in St. George, Maine.
I'm going to ask Mr. West if he would present this along with his teachers. Go from there. Look at the
And she
enthusiasm.
gives us up. Yeah.
That's the first half.
I know,
And it's
quite a
remains up
little.
here.
I'm Hannah Bailey. I'm an art teacher and STARS teacher.
A teacher, I'm a STARS teacher and special education coordinator for the middle school.
And we would like to take our students on an overnight to Herring Gut Learning Center. They've been working really, really hard. We're really proud of the work that they've done. They came to, we met them in August. Mr. Russ talked a lot about this, so we know you know quite a bit. But when we first met them, they were like super awkward, did not want to talk to each other, kind of just misfit class. They felt really uncomfortable. They were super new to having any sort of say in what they're learning about. And Katie and Kent and I were super excited to give them more student choice and help them become more connected to school and connected to each other. And now we're 9 months later. And it's super exciting because now we can't get them to stop talking and they love each other and they hate each other. They're overly comfortable with each other to the point that it's tricky for us to get work done because they just are so comfy. But they've really done a nice job getting the outdoor classroom looking awesome. They've come up with a really good system for using the classroom. They're taking really good responsibility for it. They have a sign out system online for teachers to use it. They're responsible for making sure it looks nice for the classes that come out to use it. They're finishing up tables and benches, and right now we have like a full garden growing in the art room because they were so excited to start seeds and get a garden started before we even really had garden boxes built, but they built one today. So that was pretty cool. And we're building more this week. So they've just accomplished a lot and we're really proud of them. And we're really hoping to show them that when they do great work, they are recognized for that and that we value that they're coming to school and connected to school and connected to each other and us. And we think that this trip to Herring Gut will be really beneficial next year if we do get our REV grant and we are able to do an aquaponics greenhouse. This would connect directly to that so that they would be in Herring Gut learning how to do aquaponics, how to take care of the fish, how to grow food and see how the water cycles through. And staying in the cabins overnight would allow them to do that again in the morning. So they would get full 2 days of learning about the aquaponics, doing some tide pool research, and be able to celebrate and get away from school and have a more, I don't know, meaningful experience. So we're looking to have that approved.
How many students and how many chaperones?
14 students and there would be four chaperones with Mr. West and Mr. Brown coming to Katie and I.
This is unrelated, but will these kids be returning to BMS majority next year as well? Or are they graduating through to the high school mostly?
You have some that are going on to the high school, but our 6th and 7th, like our current 6th and 7th graders will move up and then we'll be inviting some other now 5th graders.
Okay.
That's kind of the main purpose, like it's
Yeah.
fun and celebratory, but it's also learning about, so
Yeah.
there, whether we get the REV grant and do the big aquaponics system, or whether we don't get the REV grant and we do a small classroom aquaponics system, they're gonna learn how to design and maintain that and, you know, hopefully get interested in it, so it's, you know, forward looking for those students as well.
A legacy class, I like it.
So what's the name of this place again?
I just couldn't hear.
Herring Gut Learning Center.
Herring Gut.
Yeah, the gut refers to the narrow stretch of water that connects two other bodies of water. People always ask that. Why is it called herring gut? So,
You guys gonna get ice cream down at the point?
yeah.
That's the best ice cream.
General store, yeah.
That's
Oh,
good
because
ice cream.
herrings are skinny little fish.
I get it. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you get ice cream, I'm good for it.
They've They've got a transportation plan set up. Yeah. And then we'll have are you gonna do the bus or are you gonna do the vans? We're waiting to find out. I was gonna wait till it got approved before. Okay. But they will, whatever they do, if they do use a bus to go down, they'll have at least one of the vans will be with them. So if they have an emergency, they'll be able to utilize that. They'll have the permission forms, they'll have to be filled out. just like we do with any overnight with a high school. All luggage will have to be brought in, that will be inspected, it'll be sealed away, shut away, and then head on down.
You mentioned that you're gonna be staying in cabins. I don't know too much about the students in your class. I know that you mentioned some of them may have some special needs, as if I'm taking into account any special medical needs or dietary needs that need to be attended to for these kids
Yeah,
overnight. Okay, good.
Kenner, for information, that's all part of our permission form.
Okay.
And then that's run through the nurses prior to, and it's also associated. So we have a plan when we,
We'll communicate with the parents too, just to make sure. Since it's open.
Understood. Yeah.
I'm surprised how many want to do the overnight. A lot of
Yeah.
times, like for an overnight kind of first school trip, they're like, oh, that's, you know. So I was excited that they're interested enough that they're willing to take a risk and do something different.
That's cool. Putting themselves out on a limb. on that.
Absolutely.
How many total are in the program? 14 are going.
we have
That's all.
14.
Oh, so they all want to go?
Yeah, I wanna go, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Any other questions? And I would look for motion.
Well, I move that we allow the BMS Stars students in the program to travel to and stay overnight at the Blueberry Cove facility in St. George, Maine.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Katie, Anna, thank you so much for your work on this program. It's outstanding.
Next, we have consideration and possible action to transfer money from the fiscal year 2021 unallocated reserves into the established reserve accounts up to the amount authorized by the voters at the May 25th, 2021 district budget meeting and supported by the June 8th, 2021 validation referendum. Those amounts are capital reserve at 300,000, special education reserve 50,000, technology reserve of 100,000, fuel reserve 10,000, and curriculum reserve of 50,000. Jim, do you have anything you want to tell us before we go ahead?
Well, we know through the audit that this money is available to us. We've planned for that to be transferred over. We've had conversations about projects that we're going to need to take care of capital reserve. We know we need to capitalize the capital reserve in order to meet the needs of some of our expenditures that are upcoming. We also know we have plans with the technology reserve. We have some, over the next 3 years, we're going to have to make some upgrades to our system. So we're adding money now, so that'll be in play, ready to go. The other special education reserve, again, we have that reserve in place. So if we have high cost out of district student that shows up that we're not planning for or don't have monies in the local entitlement money, we'll have access to that money there. We do need to get some money back into that. And fuel reserve, well, you can see the price of diesel.
I'm looking at that 10,000 and saying, is that enough?
Well, we already have 30,000 there. So, and again, that may not be enough, but we'll address that when we get there. Curriculum reserve, we've reduced that down to $50,000. That's lower than what we needed in the past, and which is fine, but we don't have any major projects coming up, so moving forward.
No. These were amounts that we put forward at last year's meeting. These were all approved by
The voters.
voters.
Yeah.
And so
It's right now, it's
it was what we forecast last year. And so what we've been talking about this year in our budget, we've actually got these same titles,
Mhm.
but we've got different amounts going forward. So
That's
I just want to make sure that no one gets confused, that this isn't part of what we've been talking about for months on the budget
Right.
process.
This
This was.
Thank you for
This
the
was
clarity.
This
last
was, this
year.
was last year's amount. It's already been approved by everybody. All we gotta do is just raise the hand and
Actually
say
do
yes.
it.
And if we don't, then actually we're going against what the voters have told us to do. So please don't do that. All right, so with all of that acknowledgement, I would look for a motion.
I would move to make the transfers as described. to the reserve accounts as approved last year.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Hard going back to people that voted, and tell them that we did something different. All right.
They don't like that.
Next, we got board adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2023 budget and approval and signing of the warrants for the budget meeting.
So as required by law, we actually have to have a motion that votes to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum. I know Mr. Frazier has the entire motion. And I provided that in my report as well. For the sake of the meeting, I don't think he needs to read the entire motion. But if he reads the first motion part,
Well, I move that the vote entitled, vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum, and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted be approved in form presented to this meeting, and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting.
second,
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you.
at this time, it's the formal signing process.
Yay.
Yeah, this is our favorite thing to do.
Send it that way.
Yeah, and it's gonna start at Mr. Foster and go clockwise from there and end with Mr. Frazier. So you gotta come to the inside.
They come, oh, yeah.
we all use our pens.
So all that
Yeah,
is-
all
You all have your
Special
blue pen, put all other writing utensils aside, please.
Nobody wants any.
And sign each one in the same line as you sign each time it goes.
There'll be 6 documents to sign. Please sign your name in the same line on every document.
You don't want.
With the same name, too,
With
right?
the same
Same
name.
name.
It'll be the last page
We
of the
did mess it
document.
up last year. Just so everybody, we did, we had to like.
Re-sign.
when we were on- Did we re-sign or did we have to, did we cross it out or something? We did have.
I think you have to shred it.
3 years as a
Start
joke,
over.
every time I sign something, I sign John.
My first one.
At one point, Danny, they were requiring that everything that was signed was an original. We finally got them to change the law so you could have a duplicate of an original. So you were signing 14 per tab.
We used to meet like at 6:30 in the morning to before people
It's not
went to
this,
work.
this is the
That's
town.
it, yeah.
Really?
On these ones that come around for the towns, Tom's gonna start it off. That's the top ones. Then the town's gonna sign down there.
Yeah, don't sign in their place.
Yeah.
Unless if you'd like a new judge.
Just tell me where to sign.
If you have any questions, just raise your hand.
I think that's still.
Oh, whoops. Well,
Well, I just wanted-
You already did.
oh, well, then I succeeded.
You know,
Messed
you
it
know
up.
you're proud.
Okay.
Well, I kind of won.
You gotta go.
That's
back.
Going in all
Save.
Don't sign out. Or sign.
Don't worry about that. Where is it?
Last page.
I'll do the last one.
Name is like 40 letters.
Just go on the next
Next
one
line.
now. Just
I-
the next
no,
one.
no, no, you're good. Yep.
Just for everybody.
Yeah, right below my signature. That's all you
Always
gotta
right
do.
below hers. If Abby screws up, well.
Then you just blame it on me. And I blame it on Heather.
Right, I will take the blame.
No.
nice to talk. Well, actually, I think I have before.
Oh. Our incident.
Heather, what's your middle name? I'm Mary. Yep. I also have it in my signature.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
What's your middle name then?
What?
What's your middle name?
Kieran.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, what's your first name?
Bernard.
Okay. You don't go by Bernard at all?
For business, a lot of times it makes more sense, but around town, because I was raised by my middle name, it makes more sense.
Isn't that slick? Nicely done.
I've known these parents since I was a small.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
My neighbor growing up, David Adam Wilson, it took me a long time to realize he was actually, when he went by Adam, and he was David Adam Wilson.
So it's kind of funny though, whenever somebody random addresses me as Bernard, I know I have to put on my professional.
Yes.
All right, so we got,
So we got all signed, so we're gonna round you guys all back in.
all right. So this isn't on the agenda, but we'll have a time here if any of the administration would like to say a little bit. It looks like Josh is chomping at the bit, so we'll let him go first.
30 seconds per administrator, and whatever he uses over carries off with everybody else.
I actually just wanted to give a chance to, because I wasn't here at the last meeting, and I had a lot of like end of year ceremony type stuff in terms of graduation. And I know you guys always allow me to kind of plan the ceremony, but it is your ceremony, and I just want to make sure that it looked good. If you had any questions or concerns about, again, I listed about 20 dates that May and June are just mess at the high school, because it's just always some sort of event or something that's going on. But I just want to make sure I have it out there to answer any questions that you may have.
Still planning the outdoor event like last year.
Yeah.
That went very well. I heard all kinds of public comment that was very positive about that, so I'm fully behind that. Taking it outside of a very hot gymnasium is a nice idea.
The only change
went through my graduation, so I approve.
The only change that we are making is that we're not gonna have a rain date. So if on Thursday morning, we know that the weather's not gonna be good, we're gonna have it inside on Friday evening. The seniors thought it was really important. I think it is for us to, because of travel considerations, parties that are planned, vacations of people leaving on Saturday and Sunday, sporting events, that we feel it's really important that we have it on June 10th. So I will make that call Thursday morning. The downside is we have to reduce the number of tickets, but we have a system for that.
Any other questions regarding end of year ceremonies for Josh?
I will send you all an email just to let me know if you will be attending class night and or graduation, and I'll just make sure I have seats for you all.
Thank you, Dr. Tripp.
Thank you.
So Dr. Tripp used about 3.5 minutes, so you're down to 10 seconds apiece.
Really fast, really fast. We had a successful family night. It was huge, the biggest that I've had here in my 10 years of being a principal. Well over, if we counted adults and children, well over 550. And that was just in what we counted from the sign-in, and most people signed in just one adult, but they brought several. So it was very successful, but because we had so many, we're gonna look to make some changes next year, because we're going to expect a large amount of people next year as well. And so that was a wonderful experience. We saw so many of our students and families, and several of them made the comment that it was the first time, even if they were third grade families, that they had been in the Maslin school. So that was really, really neat to have. We've done a lot of volunteer trainings lately, and we're back at doing those because we're back to getting people in our building. So Darcy and I have been taking turns on that. And we do have a fourth grade farewell send off to middle school assembly planned for in person for our fourth grade families. We'll get information out to them, but that will be on Thursday, June 9th.
Any questions for Christina?
Thank you.
Similar to Josh, I know you all have seen our end of year celebration plans. You know, we're excited to have a standard 8th grade promotion this year in the auditorium. We'll reach out to board members and see if anyone is interested in attending and making sure, just like at the high school, there's a spot for you. And on June 1st, at about 3:15, we're going to do the formal grand opening of the outdoor classroom. So if anyone will send, maybe at the same time, we'll send an email with invitations to both. But if anyone would like to come, like Hannah said, we're really trying to help the students feel that what they're doing is noticed by important people. And so it goes a long way that, you know, if someone showed up, that it's not just their little project that only their teachers see, but it's something that the community and the people who make really big decisions about the school are excited about. I think that'll go a long way to helping them kind of feel like, yeah, I made a positive difference. So we would welcome anyone who's able to attend.
Any questions for John?
What time is that on June 1st?
3:15, because I gotta catch the late bus to get home.
When you're in middle school, you don't have your own wheels. Any other? Sure. All right. All right. Then we would move on to calendar and announcements.
Okay. Curriculum Committee, Thursday, central office, 6 o'clock. Policy Committee is still remaining on hiatus. We have Finance Committee, June 21st, with school board following. Facilities, we will see. That's to be determined as things start coming forward. And Aspire Committee is meeting in,
We haven't set a date yet.
okay,
So I have to ask a question because you and I had talked about it kind of tentatively, but the decision hadn't been made. In past, before COVID was around, we used to have a honorary dinner for our retirees at the June meeting. Is that something that you should consider re-implementing down at the senior center?
it's entirely up to the boards. Your desire as a board. We've been caught up with other things, getting things planned and ready to go. Didn't think a whole lot about that right now. I do know that's after the last teacher date. In the past, it's been right up against it. So I don't know if we're gonna lose people not coming there. We've got a handful of retirees, not a lot. So we absolutely can do it if you'd like.
It's Evelyn Boyle, yes.
Yeah, Evelyn, Doris.
How does she feel about it?
Evelyn is pretty kind of reserved about this whole retirement thing. She's kind of,
You think that we should create big, huge balloons like in the sky? too?
I have no problem celebrating Evelyn, but and Doris has been with the district for 30 some odd years. Trying to think who else. And Kim Locker, who's been with us a long time. Those are the only 3 true retirees. So we can certainly do a dinner, which need,
It is something that historically, in all the years that I've been here, we did until COVID came around. kind of nice getting a chance to honor people who really, in many cases, have given their entire lives to our students. And I don't think that the cost is going to decimate
No,
our unreserved
we're fine.
fund balance.
We're good.
So,
So typically we would do that at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
The honorees will be invited, the board members invited, administrative team invited also. And we have it right at the senior center, so we'll look into that and make arrangements and get out to everybody with the final information. And then the board meeting would start following that. So usually it's a later start for the board. Closer to
and so
7
we
o'clock.
typically skip the finance.
Yeah, we skipped the finance committee. At that point in time, it's, we've either done a good job or in trouble.
You
So
could
those-
probably have the meeting right at the senior center if you wanted to save time.
Well, we don't because we can't.
You can't do it publicly.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, is anybody opposed to doing this?
Not at all.
No? Sounds like a great idea.
As long as we can logistically do it. Get capacity.
I think we can do it. All right, we'll start making arrangements and get you the details.
Okay.
So the plan would be before the next board meeting? on the
Before the
21st?
June meeting, well, it's 21st.
It would be the same day, just prior to the meeting.
So. Just so that I can read it off right, the time that you would want us to show up at the
We would start serving around 5 o'clock,
5
so show up anytime, you know, 4:45 or so. Typically the service and everything, usually done eating by 6:15. Get over here for a 6:30 meeting.
Did you say 4:45 or 5?
Well, service will
Arrival.
start at 5.
Arrival at 4:45.
Okay, thank you.
So we've read off the entire calendar now,
We have, other than the,
and we've made that adjustment.
Yep.
And
District budget.
district budget meeting is May 25th, 7 o'clock at the EMS Klein Auditorium. Okay, real important that you're there. Bring your spouses and any friends you can. Practice doing this at the appropriate time.
Yellow paper.
With the yellow paper, yep.
The
And then the-
district budget,
Oh,
budget
yes.
meeting.
yeah, that's very important. I mean, we've had, 28, 30 people pass a $16 million budget. So that's always nerve wracking. That's really important. So, love to see more people coming to it.
Okay.
And then we have validation referendum on June 14th. We're winding up very, very quickly.
So many things starting to all come together.
Sure are.
all at once.
so everybody has a good understanding of where the calendar lays. If so, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? We're done. Thank you.